what a deceptively windy day we have today. It's kind of weird because it's sunny and the trees look relatively still, but it is actually quite windy. Oh well, never mind. I'm enjoying myself. I'm out on my little beastie again. Speaking of which, went down the garage the other day again, just to see what was new, what was happening, and they asked me how I was getting on with her because, you know, I've had her about 1.5 years now. Yeah, so they just asked how I was enjoying it, and I said, yeah, really loving it. You know, I've done just over 8,000 miles. Bloody good. And they were looking at me all funny, and I was like, you're right. And they went, you've done 8,000 miles on a 1.5 year old bike? And I was like, yes. I went, that's really high. I went, is it? Because, I mean, I don't use this bike every single day. It's not my everyday commuter. I've got a car. But I do use it. Of course I use it. I mean, you know, why would I buy something and not use it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I know people do. I know there's you guys out there that will buy super bike and you might drive it 4 weekends out of the year and the rest of the time it's in the garage being meticulously polished and everything else because whatever. But I'm a biker. I ride bikes. You know what I mean? So, guten Tag. Yeah. So my bike is high mileage at 1.5 years old. Fun stuff. But I don't get where this all comes from because the thing is, I mean, all engines are different. Obviously, motorcycle engines are smaller and generally higher revving than car engines, so they are under a bit more stress generally. It really depends on the engine. But that said, you know, they're not. I mean, take this for example. It's a much smaller engine than a car engine, but it's powering a much lighter vehicle. So, whilst there is some merit in motorcycle engines not lasting quite as long, it's not entirely true. Now a lot of guys, especially with like the sports bikes and stuff like that, will turn around and say, oh, if it's got 30,000 miles on it, don't touch it, it's high mileage, it's going to die any minute. Now, that's ridiculous, because, I mean, you buy a bike for about 10 grand, 30,000 miles, well, I mean, I'd do that in about 3 years, but, you know, maybe that's 5 years of riding before it's dead. I don't think it's the case. I mean, again, it depends how you look after it. I mean, if you treat it like shit and you rag it every day and you never, you know, maintain it or whatever, then yeah, 30,000 miles probably would be a killer. But if you look after it, even moderately well, a Japanese 4-stroke will do shit tons more than that. I think, it's my personal belief, that magic figure of 30,000 miles was probably introduced by the manufacturers, because obviously, let's be honest, they want us to spend money with them, and obviously if they give us a bike that's going to last 20 years, we're not going to be buying another one anytime soon, are we? No. So they want us to go, oh, my bike's got to 5 years old or 30,000 miles, I should really buy a brand new one. Because, you know, manufacturers and shops and people do this all the time. I mean, look at diamonds. Classic example, diamonds. Diamonds were never traditionally, well, they weren't traditional for anything. They were never in engagement rings, they were never in anything else. The whole tradition of a diamond engagement ring and all that stuff, and diamonds being a girl's best friend, that was introduced by diamond companies selling the diamonds. In actual fact, the diamonds being a girl's best friend thing was actually the first thing they did. And then later it became, you know, diamond engagement rings are the traditional, you know. So yeah, and it's a similar thing, you know, manufacturer shops, people, they will always come up with a gimmick like that to make you, you know, want to buy and buy again. So yeah, with the motorcycle companies, that's what they do. They want you to buy a new bike every 3 to 5 years, and that's exactly one of the reasons why we have this. You know, that, is it PCP or whatever it is, where you kind of basically rent the car or bike. It's because they want you. Well, obviously, if they get you paying for it monthly, they obviously earn interest anyway. Oh, and also, guys, car and bike salesmen will earn more money if they get you on a finance deal than they will if you buy the bike outright. So they will always be more interested in selling to you on finance than outright. So they're just trying to convince you to do that. Now, I did that with this, but it's 0% interest, so I don't pay any interest on it. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things. So anyway, yep, they'd be interested in doing that. Yeah, but then obviously on those plans, after 3 years, you can either buy the car outright for a balloon payment, or you can hand it back and have something else, or just hand it back. Now either way you lose a shit ton of money, because if you pay the balloon payment, it'll be for the full value of the car from brand new, but the point that you pay that, the car is 3 years old and has X amount of miles on it, so it's already lost a lot of its value. In fact, it lost a lot of value the second you drove it off the forecourt. Same thing with motorbikes. But again, it just goes back to the thing I've been talking about this whole time, and I'm sorry I'm rambling on, but yeah, they just want you to buy a new bike every however many miles, and it's pointless. I'd say, you know, like this bike, I bought this bike for, I don't know, close to £3 grand. It's, if I take it to the shop now, it's worth about 1,500. If I sell it privately, probably about £2 grand. But that doesn't matter, because I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to run this thing into the ground because I fucking love it, and I don't really have any need to sell it. And I don't foresee myself ever needing to either. So, for anyone out there who's looking at buying a particular 125 or something, and you're thinking, oh, I see this one for sale, it's got, I don't know, 25,000 miles on the clock, but it looks like it's been well maintained, it's got a full service history and everything else, fucking go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, well, you know, avoid, depends on, the Chinese ones can be a bit sketchy. Some, they're getting a lot better, they're getting a hell of a lot better, they're using Suzuki and Yamaha engines and stuff, but even so, you know, if you're looking at a second-hand bike, you might as well be looking at a Suzuki or a Honda or something anyway, so, but yeah, I mean, if you see a, I don't know, Honda CBF 125 or something for decent money that's, you know, what, 25,000 miles and well maintained, just buy it. Don't even worry about it. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, even if you buy a 125 and it blows up, a single cylinder 125, I mean, it's not going to cost that much to get the engine rebuilt as compared to, I mean, yeah, like, you know, the bigger bikes it would, but, you know, single cylinder bikes, you know, say it costs you 400 quid to rebuild the engine, yeah, that's a lot of money, maybe, but compared to a grand or two to buy another bike, you know, it depends how much you like it. I mean, if you're like me and you absolutely adore the thing, I mean, if the engine blew up in this tomorrow, I would have it rebuilt, or just put a new engine in it. That's just me. It depends how much you love the bike, really. Oh well. I have rambled on too much yet again, so I will let you guys go. And catch you again later.